You know, my dear, sitting here at 80 years old, I feel like life has turned me into some kind of living library. Every wrinkle on my face, every ache in my bones, every scar and laugh line, they all carry stories. And if you sit with me long enough, you'll hear them all, whether you like it or not. Today, though, I want to talk about something that affects us seniors more than we realize: supplements. You know those colorful bottles lined up like soldiers at the pharmacy shelf? They've become the modern-day potions, promising energy, youth, sharper brains, stronger bones, you name it. But let me tell you, not all of them are your friends. Some of them are more like smiling strangers ready to pick your pocket while you're not looking. At my age, I've seen more fads come and go than I can count. Remember when everyone swore cod liver oil was the cure for everything, from rickets to bad temper? My mother shoved spoonfuls of that stuff into my mouth so often that even now I gag a little when I smell fish oil. Then there were the miracle weight loss pills in the 70s, the so-called brain boosters in the 90s, and now the endless parade of anti-aging supplements that promise you'll wake up looking 20 years younger. Let me tell you, if they worked, I'd have more hair than I did in my 20s and be dancing like Fred Astaire. Instead, I shuffle a bit slower, and my hair has gone on vacation without me. Now you're 60, and that's a golden age. I know you feel it too, the mix of wisdom and that creeping awareness that your body isn't running quite like it used to. But you've still got energy, spark, and more life to live. That's why you and people your age get pulled in by these promises. Who doesn't want to keep their joints moving, their brains sharp, their skin smooth? We all do. The problem is, some of these supplements can do the exact opposite of what they promise, and I don't want you falling into those traps. So let me tell you a story, because I've seen too many of my friends fall victim to the glitter of those little pills. One of my old buddies, Harold, used to swear by vitamin E. He said it was his secret weapon. He popped those capsules like they were candy, grinning like a kid who had found a hidden stash of cookies. He was convinced it would keep his heart strong and his skin glowing. Well, one day Harold got rushed to the ER with a bleeding issue. Turns out, too much vitamin E can thin your blood so much that even a little bump can turn you purple. Harold had bruises on his arms and legs like someone had painted him with a black and blue brush. He learned the hard way, and so did I, just by watching him. Supplements, my friend, are not toys. And let me tell you about St. John's wort. That one really gets under my skin. People think it's harmless because it's a plant, a natural antidepressant. Natural doesn't always mean safe. You know what else is natural? Poison ivy. St. John's wort can mess with all sorts of medications: blood pressure pills, antidepressants, even heart medicines. I knew this sweet lady, Ruth. She was 68 and dealing with some sadness after losing her husband. Someone told her St. John's wort would lift her spirits. Well, it nearly lifted her right out of this world because it canceled out her blood pressure medication. She fainted at the grocery store, right between the apples and the bananas. Thank heaven someone called an ambulance in time. Her doctor almost exploded when he found out. That's the thing about these natural miracles. They can quietly turn dangerous. Iron is another sneaky one. Don't get me wrong, iron is important, but most people over 60 don't need extra unless the doctor says so. Too much iron can build up in your liver and joints and cause real problems. I remember Joe, a neighbor of mine, who thought taking iron would boost his manliness. He believed it would give him strength and energy. Poor fellow didn't realize he already had more than enough iron. His doctor nearly fainted when he saw his test results. His iron levels were through the roof. They told him to lay off red meat and supplements. And let me tell you, Joe loved his steak more than his wife. He looked miserable chewing on salads at barbecues, glaring at the grill like it had personally betrayed him. Now, let me take you back to a supplement I tried myself once. Ginkgo biloba, supposed to improve memory, right? Well, I figured at 75 I could use a little memory boost. I started taking it, thinking maybe I'd finally stop forgetting where I put my reading glasses. Instead, what I got was bruises all over my arms. That's because ginkgo can thin your blood, and when you're older, that's risky business. I fell once and had a bruise that made my arm look like modern art. My doctor told me to quit it right away, and I realized that maybe instead of swallowing a pill, I should just keep my brain active, reading, playing chess, talking to people like you. That works better than anything in a bottle. And calcium, oh, don't get me started on calcium supplements. Everyone tells you they're good for bones, right? But what they don't shout from the rooftops is that too much calcium from pills can give you kidney stones. And let me tell you, passing a kidney stone is like trying to squeeze a cactus through a drinking straw. Not an experience you want, my friend. Better to get your calcium from food, greens, yogurt, salmon. Your body knows how to handle food better than a concentrated pill. Now, I don't want you to think I'm standing on a soapbox yelling, "Don't take anything." I'm not. There are good supplements, ones that help and protect us. But the trick is knowing which ones to avoid and which ones to trust. And I want you to know the difference so you don't get fooled by the shiny labels and big promises. Because let's be honest, at our age, we don't have time for nonsense. We want real help, not snake oil. Let me pause a moment and ask you something. Have you ever walked into one of those health stores and felt overwhelmed by the walls of bottles? Rows upon rows, all with bright colors and promises like supports energy, boosts immunity, improves memory. It's like being a kid in a candy store, except this candy could send you to the hospital if you're not careful. That's why it's so important to listen to people who have been through it and made the mistakes already. People like me. If I can save you from one bad decision, then all these gray hairs are worth it. No, my dear, before I carry on, let me say this. If you're finding what I'm telling you helpful, if you're learning something new or nodding along, then do me a favor. Hit that like button, leave a comment below with your thoughts or your own experience, and subscribe to this channel, because that's how we keep sharing wisdom with others. We've got to look out for each other, especially us seniors, because the world isn't always looking out for us. All right, now that I've told you about the 5 dangerous ones, let's dive deeper into why they're so risky. You see, the older we get, the more sensitive our bodies become. When I was 20, I could eat a hot dog at midnight, wash it down with a beer, and still wake up ready for work at 6 in the morning. Now, if I eat too much cheese at night, I'm up tossing and turning with indigestion. That's because our organs, our metabolism, everything slows down. Supplements that might be harmless for a 30-year-old can be dangerous for someone over 60. Our livers can't process things the same way, our kidneys work harder, and our hearts don't like surprises. Take vitamin E again, for example. In small doses from food, it's great. You get it from nuts, seeds, spinach. But when you pour too much of it in from a pill, it builds up and tips the balance. The same thing with iron. Young women often need more because of menstruation, but older men and postmenopausal women don't. That's why Joe's mistake was so common. He was treating his body like it was still 30. We've got to understand that our needs change. What once helped us might now harm us. And with St. John's wort, it's not just about mood. The interactions it causes are the real danger. Picture this. You're carefully taking your blood thinner to protect your heart. And then you add in St. John's wort because you're feeling a bit blue. Without knowing it, you've just canceled out the protection of your blood thinner. That's like building a roof and then poking holes in it during a storm. You wouldn't do that to your house, so why do it to your body? Ginkgo is another one that preys on fear. Everyone's terrified of losing memory, of dementia, of forgetting the people we love. That fear drives people to swallow pills without asking enough questions. I get it, I really do. The thought of not remembering my children's faces, my wife's laugh, even silly things like the smell of fresh coffee in the morning, that's terrifying. But the answer isn't in a bottle of ginkgo. The answer is in keeping your mind alive. Read, write, talk, learn, laugh. That's the real brain booster. And calcium, well, that's a tricky one, because the advice has been drilled into us for decades. Drink milk, take calcium, protect your bones. But the science has changed. Now we know that too much supplemental calcium can cause calcification where you don't want it, like in your arteries. I'd rather have strong bones and clean arteries than strong bones and a clogged heart, wouldn't you? So, my friend, the lesson here is balance. It's not about rejecting all supplements or swallowing everything in sight. It's about being wise, cautious, and listening to your body. And most importantly, always talking to your doctor before starting anything new. I know doctors can be busy, sometimes rushed, but they know how these things interact with your medicines, with your health conditions. What worked for your neighbor might not work for you. We've got to stop comparing and start personalizing. Now, before I wrap up this part of the story, let me share something funny. Years ago, I was at one of those health fairs. You know the type. Tables piled high with free samples, people handing out pamphlets with bright smiles. One man tried to sell me a supplement that he claimed would restore my youthful energy and passion. I looked at him and said, "Son, I'm 80. If your pill can make me feel like 20 again, I'll buy your whole stock right now." He laughed nervously, but I could see in his eyes he was hoping I'd fall for it. I didn't. You know why? Because I've learned that the secret isn't in a pill. It's in how you live, how you laugh, how you connect with others. That's where the real energy comes from. So, my dear, we've talked about the dangers. And next, I want to share with you the supplements that actually help. The ones I take myself. The ones that don't pretend to be magic, but quietly support your health every single day. Because while there are wolves in sheep's clothing out there, they're also true friends, supplements that deserve a place in your routine. And knowing the difference could change your journey through these golden years. Now, where were we? Yes, we just walked past the dark alleys of risky supplements, and now it's time to step into the sunlight. I don't want to leave you sitting there with nothing but fear in your heart about what not to take. No, that's not my style. I believe in hope, in solutions, and giving you something real to hold on to. Because let's face it, life after 60 isn't about stopping. It's about adjusting, being smarter, and finding tools that make the ride smoother. And that's where the good guys come in, the supplements that actually help, that stand by your side like old friends. So let me tell you about 4 of them I've come to trust. I didn't find them all at once. Oh no, it took years of mistakes, of reading, of listening, of watching friends succeed and fail, and of course, a lot of doctor visits. At 80, your doctor practically knows more about your body than you do, but I've learned to listen to mine and combine that advice with good old common sense. The first good friend, vitamin D. Vitamin D, the sunshine vitamin. You know what's funny? As kids, we ran around outside soaking up the sun without even thinking about it. Now, most of us spend our time indoors or slathered with sunscreen so thick we look like ghosts. The result? Deficiency. And after 60, it hits harder. Vitamin D helps your bones, your immune system, even your mood. Without it, you're more likely to fall, to feel tired, to sink into those gloomy days where you just don't feel like yourself. I started taking vitamin D after my doctor tested my levels and nearly gasped. "Paul," she said, "you've got the vitamin D levels of a cave troll." I laughed, but she was right. Once I started taking it regularly, I noticed my energy picked up. My bones didn't ache as much. And I swear, even my spirits lifted. It wasn't magic. It was just giving my body what it had been missing. And the beauty is, it doesn't take much. A daily supplement paired with a little sunshine works wonders. Now, let me tell you about another lifesaver, omega-3 fatty acids. Oh, friend, these little gems are like oil for your machine. I started taking them after a friend of mine, Tony, had a heart scare. His doctor put him on omega-3s, and he swore they made a difference. So I tried them too. And let me tell you, I noticed something within months. My joints weren't screaming at me every time I climbed the stairs. My mind felt sharper, like I could focus better when reading a newspaper. And let's not forget the heart benefits. Omega-3s are like that quiet neighbor who mows your lawn when you're out of town. You don't notice them at first, but boy, do they make life easier. I get mine from fish oil, but if you don't like the taste, or if you're like my daughter who's vegan, you can get them from algae-based supplements. The key is consistency. Take them daily, and you'll notice your body runs smoother. Skip them, and you'll feel the difference. Now, the third good one might surprise you. Magnesium. Oh, magnesium doesn't get the attention it deserves. It's like the middle child of minerals, quiet, overlooked, but essential. Magnesium helps with sleep, with muscles, with your heart rhythm. I used to have these awful leg cramps at night. Felt like a Charlie horse running through my calf. I'd jolt awake, groaning, scaring my wife half to death. She thought I was having nightmares. Turns out, I was just magnesium deficient. Once I started supplementing, those cramps eased up. My sleep got deeper, and I even felt calmer during the day. Magnesium is like a warm hug for your body. It helps everything function a little more smoothly. And finally, the fourth supplement I recommend to everyone over 60, probiotics. Now, don't wrinkle your nose at me. I know the idea of swallowing bacteria sounds odd, but these are the good guys, the ones that keep your gut happy. And let me tell you, a happy gut makes for a happy life. When your digestion works, everything feels better. Your immune system is stronger. Your energy is steadier. Even your mood lifts. I used to have all sorts of stomach troubles, bloating, irregularity, you name it. Then I tried probiotics, and slowly things balanced out. My granddaughter jokes that I've got the stomach of a 30-year-old now. I told her, "Sweetheart, I'll take that compliment to my grave." So those are the four I put my trust in: vitamin D, omega-3s, magnesium, and probiotics. They're not flashy, they don't promise to turn me into Superman, but they quietly do their job every day. And that, my friend, is the secret. Consistency, not magic. But let me share a little wisdom here. Supplements aren't the whole story. They're just helpers. The real foundation is lifestyle. What you eat, how you move, how you rest, how you laugh. Supplements can fill the cracks, but they can't build the house. You got to do that yourself. You know, I once met a man who spent hundreds of dollars a month on supplements. His medicine cabinet looked like a pharmacy. But do you know what he ate for lunch? Hot dogs and chips. I told him, "Buddy, you're trying to fix a leaky boat with a roll of duct tape. Start with the wood, then use the tape." He didn't like hearing it, but it's true. Supplements help, but they can't replace common sense. And while we're here, let me sprinkle in a little humor, because you know me, I can't stay serious for too long. I remember the first time I told my wife I was taking probiotics.
She raised her eyebrow and said, "You're swallowing bacteria on purpose, Paul? You finally lost it." I laughed and told her, "Honey, at this age, if the bacteria keep me regular, I'll make them part of the family." She rolled her eyes, but now she takes them too. Funny how life works. Another thing, my friend, don't ever be shy about asking questions. Doctors, pharmacists, even us old folks, we've got to keep asking, because knowledge is power, especially when it comes to our bodies. If someone tries to sell you a supplement without explaining how it works, run the other way. Real help doesn't come with vague promises. It comes with clear, tested benefits. And while I've got your ear, my friend, let me encourage you once more. If this story, this talk we're having, is giving you something valuable, then don't forget to hit that like button. Drop a comment with your thoughts or even your own funny experiences, and subscribe to this channel. That's how we keep this conversation going, how we keep helping each other. Because at the end of the day, we're all in this together. Aging isn't a solo journey, it's a shared one. Now, let me get personal for a moment. At 80, I've had more days behind me than I do ahead. That's not something to be sad about, it's just the truth. And because of that, I value each day differently. I want quality, not just quantity. That's why I'm careful about what I put in my body. I don't want to waste my time dealing with side effects from something that promised me the moon. I want to spend my time laughing with my grandchildren, talking with friends like you, watching the sunrise with a cup of coffee in my hand. That's living. Supplements are just a tool to make that living a little easier. Do you know what else I've learned? The power of community. When we talk, when we share, we save each other from mistakes. I can't tell you how many times I've avoided trouble just because someone else spoke up about their experience. That's why I love having these conversations, because if even one person out there hears my story and thinks twice before swallowing a risky pill, then I've done something worthwhile. I'll leave you with this thought, my dear. Growing older isn't about fighting against time. You can't win that fight. It's about walking with time, hand in hand, learning its rhythm, respecting its lessons. Supplements are just part of that walk. Some are potholes you should avoid, and some are stepping stones that make the path smoother. The wisdom comes in knowing the difference. So next time you're at the store, staring at those shiny bottles, I want you to hear my voice in your head saying, "Be wise, be cautious, and don't let pretty labels fool you." Because you deserve more than empty promises. You deserve real health, real joy, and real laughter. And as your old friend Paul, that's what I want for you more than all.